What up? What up? What up? This Ibn Web, Quran Some here. Official thanks thing I got going on here. I'm doing the Essex County all day thing here. The blessings, they just keep continuing here as far as folks willing to jump on, share their journey, they walk, what have you here. Gary Taylor, bleeds Newark, live Newark, done taught, been an administrator in Newark, probably hundreds and thousands of, kids, students, male, female, what have you here. Like he done touched and influenced in one way or another here, but also done did his own thing himself prior to doing all of that as well too. So I'm looking forward to having him on, just chopping it up for a minute, just hearing about his walk. So we're gonna just get to it. Hold tight. We
All
good
right,
money.
what's going on?
Nah, we good money now, man.
Yeah. How you feeling, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
Oh man, no problems, no complaints, man. Holding on for a young man.
Absolutely. Nah. Thank you so much for just jumping on and doing this here. You even bat an eye, man. So I appreciate the solid.
I appreciate you, man. And plus some of, the guys that I played, with and against that I learned the game from, they pretty much, I saw them, actually you interviewing them. So I'm just honored to be amongst them, amongst the guys that preceded me, So it's a blessing for me as well. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Before jumping into it, man, hopefully family, everybody like good with all this stuff going on, man. Hopefully navigating this as best as possible.
Yeah, that's very important that we acknowledge that, because the world that we're living in right now, man, who would have thought in the 21st century, this day and time, these type of things would be occurring. So I always tell my family, it's God first, then your family and your good friends, and good friends are like family, So
yes.
Those are the things that are more important, than these other things that we place value on.
No, absolutely. And I'm hearing when we spoke before, I mean, retirement is creeping up on you, huh?
Yeah, actually, July 1st of this year, it'll be official. Funny thing is I retired last year, and with the pandemic, we didn't do a lot of things, in terms of, boots on the ground in the school, we were remote. So I actually decided to go back because, I love my alma mater, man.
Yes.
I love the fact that it's a place that I played at, that I taught at, substituted at, coached at, and then became an athletic administrator there. So, if I wasn't aging and if a lot of things weren't changing within the district, I probably would have stayed on a little longer, but it's time to do some other things.
Nah, definitely. And speaking of alma mater, this hits home a little bit too. My mom graduated from West Side, so
Wow. What year?
72.
She's before me because I came in 72.
Okay, yeah, she graduated.
Yeah.
So.
She was there with Bessie Walker and them. Yeah. What's your mom's name?
Sharon Jenkins. I changed the web, but it's Sharon Jenkins.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so now
She
Small
World,
Rider.
right?
Yeah, she Rough Rider. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
See, I got on my little Rough Rider stuff.
I peeped it. Yeah, I peeped
representing all the time. Aisha Cross gave me this as a retirement gift. She actually made it for me, so thank her as well.
Absolutely. So everything for you. I mean, obviously, born or you migrated to Newark, or you just born, raised,
man,
everything?
I'm actually born and raised in Newark. Actually, there's a book here that one of my cousins wrote. It's called The Book of Online, and I've been reading this. I actually met my great grandfather in this book, but it just tells how we actually migrated from North Georgia on the maternal side to Newark. So we got over 100 years in Newark, New Jersey, man. I'm born and raised here. Beth Israel Hospital, 1958. First school I went to was Miller Street School. And before moving up into the West Side District, I was there up until like the 4th grade, and then migrated up to the West Side area, 9th Street in particular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Growing up in Newark, how was it for you?
I mean, when I think back, man, and my wife and I talk about this, it was carefree, man. It was gangs, but they wasn't shooting and killing. Jokers had handwork.
The hands,
In fact, Shakur Stevens' father and I, Willie Moses, man, we were at Miller Street together. So growing up in that area which was the Central Ward. And even back in that time, when you go through the maps of Newark, we were actually placed in that Central Ward. They called it the 3rd District. So going to Miller Street, this is before the Shabazz was built. It was Ripple Field, just growing up in that area was fun, catch one, catch all, climbing roofs.
Yeah.
White Castle hamburgers was 8 cents because I lived right on Milford Avenue. It was a blessing, man, when I think about it. Band burgers, all backs.
Yes.
Community really cared about you back then. You knew if the lady on the block knew your mom and you did something wrong, you was gonna get it.
That's
But
right.
those are the kind of things that gave us foundation of respect, and doing the right thing. So in terms of, I wouldn't have chose another place besides Newark because I've lived in Los Angeles, California, Raleigh, North Carolina, Council Bluffs, Iowa, going to school. Newark prepares you for anything. There's nothing tougher than Newark, and growing, right up next to, New York City and getting that flavor too. Traveling down to Philly, the ball and stuff, Newark prepared me for all of that.
And it's interesting with all that being said, I always like to ask those who grew up in Newark. I mean, I know you were a little on the younger side here, just kind of your experience. You remember like the riots and all that stuff? Like, how was it for you? I know you were a little younger.
Excuse me. I was 9 years old and we actually we were in Donaldsonville, Georgia. That's where the maternal side of my family is. So, we were there for the riots. I remember coming back, man, having so much food in the house. So I think, the uncles and mom, they was out there looting and stuff, but I remember that, coming back on the train and being picked up and coming up. At that point, we was living at 371 Badger Avenue. And that's before, 78, the highway came through. But yeah, I remember the riots. I don't remember them because I saw them or I experienced because we were down south, but I remember after the riots how Prince Street and Springfield Avenue and all those places was vibrant, but after the riots, all that, the neighborhood was just kind of destroyed,
Yeah. Now, or any siblings?
Yeah, 2 sisters, Michelle and Nicole. I'm the oldest. On both sides, on my father's side and my mother's side. So, my sisters are younger, but Michelle and Nicole, those are my, 2 of my heartbeats right now, very special relationships with both my sisters.
Activity-wise, obviously, I know you wound up, getting the love for basketball. Was it anything else activity-wise as a kid that you gravitated to?
Actually, football was my first love. I played Pop Warner. We played, street football growing up on 9th Street and being around that boys club and all of the guys that lived between South Orange Avenue and 13th Avenue. Craig Gonzaga, that's Samad, Mandy Carter, Danny Stubbs, Charles Mitchell, all of those guys. We played football. Mark Craig, we played football and not until I got my arm broke. We were playing up at Westside Park and they threw me a pitch out and the guys that was blocking for me was too fast. So I cut back in and the linebackers crack. Pulled my wristband off, my arm swole up, had to go to St. Michael's Hospital and I was in the cast all summer. So when we were in high school, so we didn't play 9th grade, but when the guys that knew I could play, was like, yo, G, come on. I'm like, man, I'm done with football. I'm shooting jump shots now.
Okay.
So yeah, but that, baseball, I was a back catcher and third baseman at Westside, quit both years, but had the talent, just didn't have the love for it. But growing up at Westside Boys Club, 161 Littleton Avenue, where Newark Collegiate is at, you know, whatever the season was, that's what we played, you know. So in the game rooms, we knew how to play checkers, we knew how to shoot pool. You know, Fred Lott, in fact, you know, my brother Darrell Lott is the one that called in for me, you know, and called you. You know, his father, Fred Lott, you know, and Bebe and Spider-Man and all these guys, you know, they had us in their boxing, you know, and everything. So we developed, whatever the season was, that's what we did, and we were pretty adept at it, you know.
And it's interesting you mentioned that. I mean, these days, and you've seen it. I mean, probably a lot more than I have, as far as things being more specialized these days. I mean, but back then, just being well-rounded, like you said, no matter what the season was, and even if it was a season, you might have still been doing something else along with that sport as well too. I know, again, like I said, there's no knock at all. I mean, I know a lot of times now, like some things are specialized. You go to events, you see certain things. You got kids with trainers before the games, and it's a little interesting, some of the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah, we didn't do that, man. I never went to a basketball camp. Our basketball camps was Boys Club ball in different cities. You know, going down to the family full house, in the projects, you know, going down to Independence Park, you know, and playing those guys down there at Eastside, Sonny Brooks and those guys, Vince Hutchinson, you know, Lenny and them guys. Like, we made the rounds in the city. Like, we was really repping the city and repping your neighborhood, you know, and that's what it was about. And I didn't miss a beat. Even the East Orange crew, you know, the Clyde Bradshaws, you know, James Pitchford, you know, all of those guys. Like, I came up with some tough guys, man. Gary Garland, you know, Evans Ford, Brian Jenkins, you know, Nelson Minigan, you know, Charlie Long, Art Dilworth, you know, Lionel Banks. I mean, you know, that's my backcourt mate. You know, shared lockers with him for 3 years. But it was some tough guys, tough opponents. And again, it wasn't, you played, that was one of the beauties of neighborhood schools, you know, because you played and you repped your neighborhood. You know, they was talking about, you know, gee, come down to Shabazz, you know, go down. Like, man, I'm going to West Side, man. It's 3 blocks from my house. You know what I mean? So, you know, let me, I'm a repping West Side. You
know? No doubt. So you get the West Side here. Are we playing varsity from the door, or you had to earn your stripes?
Oh, actually, so this is my story with basketball, man. I mean, and you know, I never tried to hide, you know, those things I was doing. Like, we were in the streets, me and my guys, man. So my freshman year, man, I got 0 credits because I was in the streets. You know, next year on JV, we had a game at Thomas Jefferson School, which went to Dunn Arena, you know, Elizabeth. I played a game, missed the practice, and then we had a game. We had a scrimmage at home, and you know, Herb Stoney, you know, legendary track coach at Westside, he rode me the whole game, you know, so I wound up quitting the team as a sophomore, you know, 22 and a half credits that year. And I don't know if it was even eligibility. You just played. I don't even know if it even got to that point. So my third year, my junior year, is when I played, but I didn't miss anything basketball wise, because again, you know, I'm still 15, 16. I'm still playing basketball. I'm still getting, you know, righteous competition. And then the after school programs, you know, the 13th Avenue and, you know, the other places around. But that's where I honed my skills at. So no, I didn't even play 2 years of high school basketball because you know, again, I was out in the streets and not focused. I guess that's a better way to say it. You know, my father died at 15, and he, you know, Samuel McKinley Taylor, he put the ball in my hand. I remember my first shot, which was nothing but throwing the ball up. It didn't have a net. It went in and came back down, and I ran home. Mommy, I made a shot. You know, so like I you know, vivid memories of those things. My father played at Newark Tech as well. So, you know, circumstances, not being focused. You know, I missed 2 years of basketball. That's the reason I know I didn't score 1,000 points because I didn't play for 4 years. But everybody knew I could play, even the guys that were, starting on the high school team, So yeah, that I didn't start the junior year. That's when, the light kind of turned on, people that loved me and, saw the potential, got my academics together. Like it was my third year, 37.5 credits. And then my final year, like 55 credits. I had to go to night school for half a year. Wow. Just to graduate with my class. So I always had that in me. The light just had to be turned on, so God did that.
Who was those that just got in your ear? But I mean, obviously you said you knew the light had to get turned, but somebody had to get in your ear.
It was my family, my grandmother, my mom, at school, was, Mr. Bay, Claude Bay. I remember, him picking me up and, I'm going to his house painting and stuff. And, he wanted to be being a principal in the school, University High School, but he was a drug counselor back then, so, just my family, the people around the boys club, Clarence Stewart, Mr. Stewart was big on it. And then my peers, like in that boys club, man, you had mayors, judges, engineers come out of that. So just kind of watching that, kind of inspired me.
Okay.
The Nation of Islam back then, seeing them telling, the black man to wake up, like living in that neighborhood, all of those things in retrospect had an impact on me. So, some people would say happenstance, some of these things happen, but, I don't believe in happenstance, and coincidence. It was destiny, I'm here now because of that, so yeah, those are kind of things that kind of, turned my light on.
Okay. And then even with the light being on from there, it was just like, whether it's playing hoops, it was just like college that started entering your mind, like, hey, I can take this whole, whether it's ball taking me to it or just in general, this is part of my life and I gotta just get right. And college was on one of the things that was on, you was locked in on?
Well, it wasn't so much locked in because still, the light turned on, but that type of focus wasn't there. Like whatever season it was, that's what we did. That's what, we kind of did to stay engaged. But I wasn't thinking about college, I guess in my junior year. I guess in my senior year when I started, was considered one of the best basketball players in Newark, because, again, I mentioned going around to different venues and playing, my game, had gotten up, getting on AAU teams with some of the best in the county. I was on one AAU team.
I was going to mention a name as later on, but since you bring it up, does this ring a bell? Bad Company?
Oh, come on, man. come on, man. That my heart smiles when I think about Bad Company. And again, one of my friends, one of my brothers, Marvin Cook, who played at Central High School, and who me and my backcourt mate, Lionel Banks, him and Emmanuel Poobie Chapman were there. They had us as like the best guards. I mean, you had Nelson Minigan and Nat Man at Velsburg. Mike Porter was at Shabazz. I don't remember too much the other guards. Weekwake, I don't know, maybe Mario Simmons. But we didn't look at them as threat, but it was Marvin Cook. Okay. So Marv, who was the starting quarterback for Central, I was down the hole watching the game, and the hole back then wasn't Muhammad Ali Avenue, it was behind 280 Prince Street.
Okay.
So I'm in there watching the game, and Marvin and Clinton Jones, Beef, who played football at Shabazz. Beef was like, yo, Marv, go ask G if he want to play. And when he came, I was like, yeah. So, the ironic thing about that, Gil Battles coached us. So when I got on the team, I actually took Marv's spot, right? And Poobie Chapman. Me and Pooh was in the backcourt, you know. But again, Cliff Anderson, you know, Raheem Williams, Wilbur Cole, who else? Marv Cook was on that team, man. We had some, you know, those. I'm smiling now just thinking about it, man.
I see,
that right there kind of elevated everything to the next level, to where, you know, we was talking about college and things. Even though I had already went to a community college out in Iowa, and did pretty well out there, but when we were playing Bad Company, and then, you know, the Green Acres League on Lyons Avenue, and Lawrence, Larry Layton. This is Mo Layton's older brother.
Right.
So again, I'm down the hole, and I'm watching the game, and, you know, Larry came over. He was like, you know, he stuttered a little bit. You playing with anybody? And I'm like, nah. You want to play with us? And, you know, he said, I jumped up. You know, he makes a story. I was like, yeah. But I was so happy. He said, I don't know where I saw you play at, but again, getting on that team, and some of the best basketball in Newark, that was the spot. You know, it wasn't no Branchbrook Park. It wasn't no Hole. It was Lyons Avenue and the Green Acres, man. And you know, playing against, you know, some of the guys that were ahead of me, the Dave Evelyns, the Renzo Daniels. You know, these were some of those, the Mo Laytons. And I'm 19 years old, and I remember one time, and Darrell was there. You know, Davey was just slick with the ball. He bringing it down. I strip him, and I'm headed for the basket. And here go Mo, and I raise up, dunk it. I mean, the spot just went off.
You called Mo out? You called him out?
Yeah. He remember that. But his brother Larry was telling Mo, look, I got a bad young boy. You know, Harvey Dock and Richard Britton. You know, the old heads. They meshed the old guys. You know, because at that time, you know, and Larry's still a friend of mine, as is Mo. You know, those guys was 13 years older than us and still playing. So you had to wait your turn, you know. But when you get in, you know, you do your thing, man. So I'm extreme, you know, because of that venue, I have lifelong friendships with my elders, you know, and that's special. You know, that's very special.
Nah, I can hear it in your voice.
No, these are my guys. Like, you know, we shared it, you know, with Mo and Larry. We share the same faith, and faith is very important to me. Like, I don't believe in coincidence. Everything is destiny. You know, just like right now, this is part of it, telling my story. But guys that preceded me, you know, the Cliff, you know, the Lou Grimsley, and you know, to talk about Lou, man. Lou is sweet Lou, man. But, you know, still in his moves and stuff, you know. The Larry Laytons, the Mo Laytons, you know, Harvey Dock, like, you know, these guys, man. You know, when I think about it, man, there's a rich basketball history in Essex County, but in Newark particularly. Like, you know, now we had the Super Essex Conference, and we went to some of these other conferences when they disbanded the Newark City League. But those schools were afraid to come down. If you didn't, you know, catch them like in Elmwood Park, you know, playing against, you know, with, you know, Kelly Tripucka was just, you know, on a whole nother level. You know, Kelly was actually, him and his family, but, you know, guys were afraid to, you know, suburban schools, I should say, were afraid to come in Newark, man, you know, because it was that much competition spread out throughout the city. So even in my senior year, it was hard to beat somebody twice, you know, because the talent was distributed, you know, throughout the wards. You know, I mean, I'm playing. You know, I didn't mention EJ Edgar Jones. You know, I played against Edgar Jones. These are pros. You know, and you know, 2 games at 18 and 19. My friends went over there, so they was like, "Gee, when you drive, you know, you can't go over Edgar. You got to go up underneath him. You know, because then he gonna block it. You know, so those little jewels, man. But you know, it was some tough talent, man. Brian Crawley from Barringer. You know, Webb, it was Webb first. I mean, it was some, you know, really some good talent in Newark that prepared us you know, for wherever we went, you know, we wasn't afraid. We wasn't afraid. You know, I mean, when I, you know, you kind of talk about, you know, growing up, and I can mention Miller Street, and I can mention when I went up to West Side. I can remember, you know, all of these are different chapters in my life.
Yes, yes.
That kind, you know, as I reflect, and it made me better on each level. Like, you know, I mentioned Marvin Cook, man. We went to St. Augustine's College together, and you know, started a whole migration of Newarkers coming down there, and we won. You know, we won down there. You know, the Randy Franks. I don't know if you heard of Rock.
No, the Randy Franks. I heard of that name.
Yeah, Randy Franks. You know, I went down there. I was actually the first one in the group to play. I mean, Leo Bolton was there first, but Leo didn't play. But Charles Logan is the one. I was getting ready after leaving Iowa Western. I was getting ready to go to Essex County,
okay,
and play for, you know, legendary Cleo Hill.
Yes.
I ran away from Cleo twice, man. I was, you know, his reputation just scared me, but that's one of my basketball regrets, because everybody that I played with and against that Mr. Hill coached, they all had that certain in them. And, you know, like the way we describe it now, they had that dog in them, you know, and I had it in me. And Gil Battle, you know, who was coaching with Mr. Hill, used to call me, Mr. Hill really wants you to come. And I'm like, man, I want to get out of Newark, man. You know, and so I went out to Iowa Western Community College, you know, average almost 20 out there, was playing with a guy they was hiring, Lester Robinson. He was from Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Okay.
So
how was this action as far as, again, you mentioned running around a little bit early on, just being in Newark in general, but to go to Iowa, like culturally, how that hit you?
Well, what happened is Clarence Stewart, he was one of my coaches at the boys club. And I don't know if you ever heard of John Snow.
No, I haven't. No.
John Snow, legendary guard from Westside High School. But, you know, Mr. Stewart sent John out to Iowa. That's how I got out there.
Okay.
And, you know, I got letters from Monmouth and from, you know, Stetson and stuff, but, you know, missing 2 years of basketball, you know, 9th and 10th grade, and still not having, you know, someone to kind of guide your path. You know, I just said, look, man, I want to get out of Newark. So I went out to Iowa. I had a guy, you know, Rod Clarkson was the coach. He called me, and I did well out there, you know. But again, it was wanting to get out of Newark, you know, that led me down that path. You know, I know I'm kind of jumping around, you know, but ending up at St. Augustine's College, you know, was in the CIAA, you know, with Norfolk State and, you know, Virginia Union, Johnson C. Smith, you know, Hampton, you know, all of those schools. And, you know, we had a run through there, and it was with the Newark guys and the New York guys, you know, and because of that, you know, I still have some of those friendships. I was supposed to go to Winston-Salem, because, you know, there was those Newarkers going to Winston-Salem.
That's right.
And Eugene Smiley, that was Earl Monroe's backcourt mate. All right. And the teacher in Newark sent my paperwork there. And when I made it, you know, the all tournament team, the CIAA all tournament team, you know, Big House Games, legendary Big House Games, he was like, you were supposed to come here, you know, your paperwork got here late. And I told that to Mr. Smiley. He was like, yeah, he just ain't want to take no Newark guys at that time. But, you know, we showed up and showed out down there. I know Big House seeing us, when I say us, me, Marv, Poole, you know, Donald Carroll from Shabazz, John Belly from Irvington Tech, you know, I put them guys in my car, you know, because it's all about each one teach one, right? And go back and reach one, you know. So these were my boys. My before my senior year, George Peterson was down there, and George was 6'9", could run the court, could jump, but he had went to Uppsala, all right, and he owed some money. He was down there the whole summer. He was gonna be my roommate, and you know, he never said anything, so that money getting paid, he wound up going over to Jersey City State. You know, but we did some things down in Raleigh, North Carolina, man. I mean, yeah, champions down there, lost in the CIAA finals in 79-80 after beating Rick Mahorn in Hampton Institute.
Hampton, yes.
Yeah. With who was it?
Duncan Hines and all
Duncan
of them.
Hines, yeah, Duncan Hines. The guard they had on the team. I'm looking right in his face. Dow Warwick.
Okay.
You know, yeah. He was from Philly. He played with Gene Banks and Mark Davis and them guys, man. But yeah, you know, again, when I think about St. Aug and graduating from there and the friendships that I have, like that, again, I talk about destiny. That was supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to be, you know, Winston-Salem. It was supposed to be St.
Where you was at. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Did you have aspirations of the next level when you doing your thing down there? Did you have?
I think if that would have been my focus, it possibly could have happened, because I ended up in Albany with the Albany Patroons, the CBA.
Okay.
We played in the Pro East Basketball Association with the Blazers. I mean, that's another chapter of my life, the Newark Blazers. With Miss Green and Honorable Judge Booker, they had a team. But was just playing basketball, you know. I mean, you know, we was balling, and you know, I didn't really think about that to focus, like you know, meeting guys on the D1 level, because in Raleigh, North Carolina, and in that Research Triangle Park area, you know, you got North Carolina, you got Duke, you got North Carolina State, Shaw University, St. Augustine, they're all in the same city. So because of, you know, the HBCU, the guys from, you know, those D1 schools would come over to St. Aug, you know, and play. So I got a chance to see the guys in you know, Billy Williams, who played at Clemson, who was from Raleigh, you know, Glide Austin, Hawkeye Whitney, that was from, you know, DC area, and we played, you know, we played against those guys in the gym. Real quick story. I remember meeting Coach Hartley. That was my college coach, Harvey Hartley, that played with Sam Jones at North Carolina Central. And I met him that day. Again, I mentioned Charles Logan that brought, you know, me and Marv down there. We were in the gym. I got on the court. First 4 times I touched the ball, 4 jump shots, and hit all 4 of them. Coach stopped the game. And these against these D1 guys. And like, son, who you? And I'm like, Coach, I just met you this morning. You know, so we were able, because we didn't, and this is you know, my opinion of why things didn't work, because you mentioned like going to the next level. When you talk about the Glide Austins, or the Derek Wittenbergs, the Sidney Lowe's, you know, who went to DeMatha. I got a chance to play with and against these guys, and they were tough, but they were groomed for something different.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not that we weren't, but it wasn't no voice in your head kind of directing you. Like, I can tell a kid, because of my experiences, man, listen, man, you know, it's a limited amount of people that are going to make professional basketball. But, you know, the profession is getting your college degree and coming back and serving your community. So that's some of our fate. You know what I mean? So, but playing against those guys, I knew I could play against them. You know, I went to a camp up at Drexel University, free agent camp. Bernie Bickerstaff and Gene Shue. Now, they were both legendary, coaches in the NBA. So in this camp, Gene Shue was like, listen, I'm going to tell you guys if you need to be pursuing this or just leave it alone. So I was up there 3 days, averaged about 16 points. And when I went in to talk to him, he said, yo, you can play. So I just graduated, you know, St. Aug. I said, listen, I want to get out to the California Pro League. I got a call. And the guy said, Gary, we're 4 games into a 10-game season. It will, I got all Americans on the team. It'll be unfair, to bring you up in that situation. Stay in touch. So I don't know if that was just a call because Gene had the
Gene,
connection.
right.
All was true because you begin to think. I met a coach up there from Germany. He came up to me. He said, "So you Gary Taylor?" He said, "Billy Williams told me about you. Billy was the first pick in the second round. I think it was in '81. So again, Raleigh, North Carolina guy. The guy gave me his card. I actually have it in my scrapbook, and he said, "Call me." And I never heard of Cinnamon Sin, New Jersey. You ever heard of that?
Nah.
All right, so again, we back in '81.
Right.
I never called the guy, but who knows what would have happened. Another story, when I came home in 19, Michael Ray Richardson that played with the Knicks, his coach seen me play while I was out in Iowa. And he would call me, he's like, "Gary, I want you to come on." I think it was at Montana State. Now I just left Council Bluffs, Iowa, which was next to Omaha, Nebraska, so I didn't even know it was a cultural shock, because during basketball season, it was all good. But when the season went over, coach didn't want to come down, open up the gym. There's probably 20 blacks on the whole campus. So that whole thing, I mean, I made my way around because, again, the team, Lenny Robinson, Derek and them, they was from Louisville, Kentucky. So these were teammates. They knew that was the boy's name that played for Louisville. Duncan, he used to dunk. I'm blocking right now. My mind's kind of speeding. But that whole thing, out there, and the coach telling me to come to Montana. I'm like, "Coach, can I do a visit?" Again, no father, no man in your life. Like, that's another basketball regret, because he told me in the conversation, he was like, "Gary, I fished with 6 NBA coaches. I almost guarantee you a tryout." I'm like, "Coach, if I can't come see Montana, after leaving, Iowa, it's no way I'm coming out there." So, again, another basketball regret, not going to play for Cleo, because Cleo would have prepared you for anything. And that whole, this guy, Coach Michael Ray Richardson, who knew it would have happened. And I guess that's in line with, if I would have had aspirations, for professional at a young age, because people thought I could. I remember my mother calling me on the day of the draft and said, "I'm sorry you ain't get drafted." And I'm like, "Mom, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just playing basketball." You know what I mean? So, in retrospect, if you would have had the guidance, that strong will, and getting it and taking care of my academics early, life probably would, in terms of playing basketball beyond, post-college, probably would have manifested itself. And even if I would have kept playing, because this Pro East Basketball Association, it was a tough league. Tri-state, it took the place of the old Eastern League. So we played in that, and I played against guys that, played Division I. I mean, Shelby Coxon played with Bill Cartwright at University of San Francisco, and they, I ain't had no name, but they was looking at me like, "Yo, who this guy?" And holding my own, So yeah, man. I mean, it had opportunities, man, but I don't regret anything that didn't happen, because if it's for you, it don't pass you by. It pass you by, it ain't for you. It got me to a point, and I guess that's what I'm most proud of is, coming back to my community and serving in my community, as an athletic administrator at the school that I played with, coached at, substitute taught at, and ultimately retiring from.
Yes.
So that's huge in my book. When we start, breaking it in chapters. I was talking to one of the principals one time, and he said, "Man, you got a heck of a story. You got a book," and kind of just reflecting right now in this it's a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. In this podcast, it's making me kind of, like, man, maybe I should try to write it. Tell the different, chapters in my story.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, retirement on the horizon, man. You have a little bit more time, some time to put that together. You mentioned serving the community. What brought you to just the whole being an educator, what have you? What took you in that direction?
So again, I went I majored in business management while I was in college. And I tricked myself because I thought that people thought that the only thing that jocks, what they call this, can do is just play ball. But I'm a thinker. You know what I mean? So I really should have went into health and PE because I always found myself around the game, either coaching. I officiated for about 10 to 12 years in IBO, high school level. So working in Overlook Hospital and not really pursuing my degree. And I'm like, and I'm working environmental services, fancy name for housekeeping. I'm like, man, I ain't go to school to be cleaning toilets and stuff. This is the internal thing that's going on in my head. So I got my substitute certification and, did that for 5 years, at Westside, along with working at the hospital and officiating.
Okay.
So I was officiating at University Hospital, and somebody showed me the board, and there was a supervisor's position up there. And because of this degree, degree opened up the door for you.
Yes.
And because of this, the degree in business management, they hired me. I left Overlook Hospital from 1994 to 2001. I was, a supervisor at University Hospital. So the people that were working there, and I'm getting back to what led me to education. People want to work. People want to get paid, but they don't want to work. And then when you're supervising, the power of the pen, you got to write people up, and then you become the problem. I'm like, man, I might as well go into education full time, because you expect kids to behave like that, not adults. So that's what led me into there. And Ivan Holmes, who's a childhood friend, he just passed about a year ago. He was the principal at Peshine Avenue School.
Okay.
And I kept saying, man, I need to call him because, I was done with supervising at the hospital. I needed something different. So one day, one afternoon, I came out the house, he was crossing the street. It was a Saturday. And I told him, look, man, I want to get back into the system. That was Saturday. Tuesday, he was interviewing me. And I was getting ready to go to Canada for vacation. And he called me that Thursday, right before Labor Day. He's like, yo, man, you start work on, the Tuesday after Labor Day. And I was like, oh, man, I guess I'm not going to Canada. So that's what got me into it. And I got a provisional certification, which gave me everything that I need in terms of the pay, the benefits. It was no more subbing, but I had to go, take classes, education classes to be qualified. And I went down to the special needs track, which was, 10 classes, and you only needed 11 to have your master's. So I took my master's, and all the time I'm still coaching basketball at Westside.
Okay.
All right. So I'm still in the game that way there. That got me into education again. Not a chance meeting, destiny walking across the street, coming out late that day, and Ivan, walking across the street, man. But, and I always told him, because he would call me every year to get, the Essex County pass, for the football games and the basketball games. And I was like, listen, man, you changed my life.
Yeah.
The whole trajectory of my life changed because now my salary went up. I always knew, because I was a Newark and because the people that were in place, once I got in, I was going to become a coach. I was going to work in the after school youth development program. And all this, again, was because, Ivan opening up the door for me And even during all this time, all these different changes is happening in the school system, you know, with them coming in and charter schools, you know, on the horizon,
Yes.
you know, coming to Newark and trying to take over the whole system and shutting down, you know, historical schools. And every time, you know, a door closed, I just got in.
Okay.
I just got in, you know, got my master's in Otto Floyd. You know, Otto was the athletic director at Westside. And I said to him one day, he actually used to be a teacher at Shabazz. I said, what does it take to sit in your seat? You know, and he said, well, you need a master's degree and you need to take supervision courses. Say no more, I ain't tell him anything. So I started pursuing that because I knew I only needed the one more class for the master's.
Right.
All right. And then one of my Hodge brothers, Abdul Hassan, he was like, gee, you know, Keen is offering a supervision course up in East Orange. So he called me one year, and my routine when basketball season was over, like we played until March. I told the kids, look, man, I see y'all in May. We start getting ready for the summer leagues. So he called me and I'm like, man, I'm tired, man. I'm gonna take it. So the next year it came back around, I jumped in.
Okay.
And now Otto is getting ready to retire. Annette Williams, who I work with at Westside High School, she's in charge of health, physical education, athletics. She told me to start shadowing Otto to learn the job. They brought Greg Tynes in as the coach. You know, Seton Hall, you know, Hall of Famer, you know, Orange
Scott,
Hall of Famer. Yeah,
Scott,
you know,
all that stuff. Yeah,
Scott, all that, you know. And again, me and Greg played on a team together, you know, so he became the coach. I became the athletic director, and that was 14 years ago. You know, so through all of the changes, all of, you know, the takeover that was occurring, you know, all the transitions in education, with charter coming in Newark, you know, I lasted all of that, you know, I lasted all. In fact, the current superintendent of school, Roger Leone, he's the one that hired me, you know, so it's you know, who could have a better job than the one that I had, you know, a place where you played, where you coached, where you attended, where you substitute taught at, and now you're able to go back and help kids navigate, you know, the confusion. And I would tell them my story. I would tell them how I didn't, you know, I get no credits in the ninth grade, you know, 22 and a half in the second, you know, light turned on 37 and a half, you know, 55 in my last year, upward bound program, working, all of those things. So I said, listen, you don't want to play the catch-up game, because the problem with our kids right now, you know, and I hate to say it, they can't read. You know, so that's the problem. And then, you know, this thing right here, this phone, they so caught up into this, you know, they hurt you for this. My grandson got robbed about a month ago, walked, you know, 2 blocks from his house for his phone. Thank God he didn't get hurt. But this thing right here is so much distraction. They don't go out and play anymore, you know. Like the parks used to be packed, you know. There's one boys club, you know, in Newark right now. And
that's crazy. That's
come on,
crazy.
man. I mean, I remember going over to which is now called Pathways, but that was the South Ward Boys Club. We was West Ward. They had the Red Bank Boys Club down in the East Ward, Broadway Boys Club. You know, that's you know, that's where you went at. And then after school programs. So you had something to do, you know, and you didn't have all of this gang stuff, you know, that's going on and kids in the street. And that's the sad thing now about traveling up the South Orange Avenue corridor for me, because the kids that's out there now, the kids that went to West Side, you know, and you got to pass, you know, Velsburg Park and look to the right, and Mon Avenue's right there, and all the chaos that's up there. You know, Isabella, you know, West End. I mean, these were areas when I grew up, man, and the Caucasians lived up there, man. You know, you wasn't even going up there, you know, and now, you know, we move in those areas and, you know, it seems like it goes down, you know, so I don't know. I don't know if all this is supposed to be part of the
It's all
podcast, but
This is all
yeah,
good because it's
yeah.
interesting. Just your whole transition you just shared as
Mm-hmm.
far as the culture piece, real quick. What was just being the player you was? What kind of adjustment was that just to be a coach? Because I know that could be difficult for some people.
Now, listen, let me tell you something. Just because you play basketball don't mean you can coach
That's
basketball.
right. That's right.
All right. So nobody told me that. I learned that, you know, because I think and I reflect. My first year, we was 3-15, right? But Joe Jordan,
I know Joe.
who's a friend of mine, I remember going to his house and he asked me a question, what's your defensive philosophy? I never heard that. When I first got the job, I drove 9 hours and sat with my coach for 9 hours. He was like, Gary, you're gonna have to study. You're gonna have to build a library. And that's what I started doing. I went to, they used to have camps at Rutgers. I drove to DeMatha one time, you know, during Ramadan. I drove down there and sat in there and listened to the ACC coaches. Every camp that they had that was local, I was starting to go to them and attend it. And then I remember this one coach's clinic I went to that was at St. Benedict's.
Okay.
Jay Wright, Calhoun, C. Vivian Stringer, Rick Pitino, Hubie Brown. And I'm sitting there listening, and I remember calling my friend Marvin Cook. I said, Marv, I'm in the book, I'm on the page, and I'm in the line. That's when I could begin to see the entire court, like all 10 of the players, because I always saw it from the outside in.
And plus you were officiating too, so
plus I was officiating.
That's a different lens too, right?
Yeah, I officiate. And the thing is, I was moving in the officiating arena, but my knees started messing up because I wanted to do the college circuit.
Okay.
But I had, wound up having double knee replacement, 8 knee surgeries. I was in every county officiating. I was doing county games. I was in Middlesex County. I was in Union County. I was in Wanchon County. I was moving, but the knees messed up. But that transition from player to coach, what my coach said to me, you're going to have to study. It made me go to camp because I don't like losing. I don't like losing. We made the states every year except my first year when I was a novice at it. I remember Fernand Williams, who recently passed away, and I said, how long do I have, before, there's a change? He was like, look, man, just watch the people that you put on your coaching staff and just do your thing, So even with that, I had some folks on my coaching staff that probably I shouldn't have had. Everybody that smile with you ain't for you. You have to learn those hard lessons. But we did well. We did well. I remember losing to Shabazz in the sectional finals at Plainfield. And my high school coach, Dave Hayes, came to the semifinal game, and we had to play Colonial at Colonial. And they had won like 23 in a row, and we beat them. And I remember my coach came out, he's like, Gary, you just beat the top school in Middlesex County, So, I had some success with that there. We lost the next game to Lou Grimsey and Shabazz. And that was a good time. So we were starting to get there, but everything has been a stepping stone in my life. I never get stuck no one place. Basketball had its place. Officiating had its place. Becoming an athletic administrator, like everything, had its place in my life, and I kind of achieved. At the different various points in my life. those things are just, you know, a part of the pitches is growing. I mean, the most important thing to me right now is my Lord. You know what I mean? My family, my good friends. You know, I appreciate, you know, this kind of reflection and being honored. You know, I hope I did more good. I don't hope, but I know I did more good than bad in my life. You know what I mean? And just being able to build. I mean, you know, a chapter that I didn't mention is you know, at Westside. I mean, we won like 3 state championships, you know, outright, and that's under my watch as an athletic director.
That's
you know, those relationships, you know, with Akbar Cook and Craig Chilius and Mark Harris and who am I leaving out here? Cheese, Darnay Dotson. You know, like we won 2 overall state championships. That's in the history of the school. You know what I mean? In 3 out of 4 years, we won state championships, man. You know, we kind of reversed the course of athletics because Westside ain't one of the first schools that people want to come to or even send their kids to.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean that whole co-location of Newark Vocational and Newark Early College, because Westside was just a building. You know, they didn't budget for it. You know, so that whole 034, you know, budget line is back, you know, in effect right now. You know, the powers that be, they just took that out. You know, and Westside was just a building. But again, I was able to stay those 14 years, and you know, we was able to win some championships. You know,
that's great. That's I got a question even as an AD. I mean, obviously you saw it as a coach as well too. I mean, we talk about, you know, West Side. We talk about being in Newark. Like these student athletes, they got more to deal with just to make it onto a court, to a football field. So I mean, they got everything just to get there. Like, how did you just be able to? I mean, what kind of things did you put together as far as an AD and even your coaching staff, as far as just to make sure, again, just to get to school? You know, God knows what they had to go through to get to school. Some of these learners.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that kind of makes it go is, you know, getting a coaching staff and believing in the coaching staff. All right. Once you get that and you begin to win, then the coaches are going to get the kids. You know, the thing that makes it difficult is there's no more neighborhood schools, so kids can go any and everywhere. That I don't like. And coaches, they just want to win.
That's right.
They don't care nothing about the rules. They're gonna, once they learn the rule, they're gonna try to figure out how to dismantle it and get around it so that they can become competitive. Because again, at Westside, it's not the first choice. But if you put the right coaches in place, like once we started winning in basketball, kids would come. Soccer, like we won with the influx of immigrants from Africa coming in, and a lot of them living, you know, right up in the neighborhood that I live in. They were coming right to West Side. West Side is a transient school too, you know, where kids are in and out. Excuse me. So we started, and we kept the same coaches in place with this. So we started to win in soccer. This young lady that I hired, because her mother was the head coach, Megan Williams. Her mother, Betty, was a teacher at Westside, but they know volleyball. So we were able to start a boys program. Okay. So again, coaches, you know, having Marion Bell, who's a Rough Rider and a championship coach at East Orange campus. Having him come down for about 3 years kind of changed the direction. It changed the direction of the football program. Yeah. So the whole thing is get the right coaches in place, set up the programs for the kids and have them start to believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to get, you know, parent involvement, you know, is big and it's lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you know, a lot of times the dad is not in the house.
Right.
You know, it's the mom, she don't know. And if you got you a real, you know, bull, then everybody knows somebody and everybody talks to somebody, you know, they in your house trying to pull your kids out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We had a kid, Everson Davis. This boy scored 1,000 points in 2 years. And this guy, I remember him coming in there, and even when I was coaching, because he did it to Taji Anderson, like I welcome help. Like I don't feel threatened by anybody. If it's something you can come in and bring to the kids and help the kids, then, you know, come on in. But again, people, you know, Everson wind up transferring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when like he was already a great student. He had already scored points. You was going to be seen at Westside. You ain't have to go anywhere. So you got to watch who you invite into your camp. Taji Anderson was probably, if not the best player, one of the top players I ever coached. Taji was about 6'4", left hand, right hand, jump shot. I'm on the phone with Morehead State, St. Bonaventure. The same guy that I'm talking about got in his head. You know, started with the camera, and you know, all of a sudden it was just hard to talk to him. So again, you got to watch your kids. But if you put good coaches around them and coaches develop the relationship with the kids, they're not gonna leave.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
I totally,
it's rare.
totally
It's
agree.
rare that they'll leave.
No, I totally agree. I know he became the face, but again, I know it's everybody else that's involved as well too. You mentioned Akbar. How proud are you of him?
You know, extremely proud, and
Mm-hmm.
extremely proud of the relationship that we built. He called me the old Yoda because I've been around the school longer, you know, as long as anybody, currently. And you know, what I said to him, because I watch, you know, you ain't gotta say nothing. You keep your mouth closed, eyes and ears open. You can learn a lot about him, but he takes care of his people that are around him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they do the right thing by him, Cook takes care of them. His whole journey and evolution is his vision, and he has the right heart for it.
Right.
You know, I see his heart. I see how he does things for the kids, and that's the primary focus. Like he's there for the kids. So that relationship, because when he came up, you know, and I'm keeping it a buck, their thing was, you know, to take over coaching, bring another athletic director in, but you know, man plans and God plans, and God is the best planner. And my faith, you know, like I pray to my Lord, and he kept me in place. You know, he put the person that was this is Larry Ramperson, who was the principal, and Cook was the vice principal. You know, he was in place. We share the same faith, and I just think it all has to do with that, you know, because they were pushing for somebody else that I was friends with, you know, but it didn't happen, you know. So, you know, me and Cook started talking, and you know, I asked him, could I, you know, I watched the first year, asked him, could I get on the coaching staff? And he was like, yeah. So that whole ride was perfect, because I love ball. You know, like I love basketball. It saved my life. So just experiencing that with the kids that transferred in and that came with him from Newark Vocation, the kids that was already there, we were able to do some special things. But you know, Cook is a good person, man. And as long as he, you know, he has vision, as long as he surrounds himself with right people, and continue to do the right things, man, you know, he's going to change that whole West Side community area from the school standpoint, you know, and let it come out there, because one of the things that he's promising to be with his babies, as he called them, from the 9th grade until they can make a living wage. So everybody's not going to college,
right?
But those connections that he has in the city, you know, some of these programs and he's able to get the kids in there, then they can make a living wage, man. And that's admirable, you know, in my book, you know. So he's a good brother, and we had a good run. I don't look for friendship, you know, but I don't deny friendship when it comes. You know, most of my friends is guys I grew up with, like Darrell, you know, Mark Cook, you know, people that I eat with and we done went to war with and all that things. But I would categorize Cook, and I've told him as a friend, because what I'm telling you, I tell everybody, you know, I'm not a mean guy, I'm inclusive, but you know, friend is a special word.
That's right.
You know, and everybody's not your friend. So the sooner you learn that, you know, the better off you'll be, you know. But I don't turn friendship down, and we become friends. You know?
No, definitely. Now, playing sports, whether it was football as a kid or just your basketball journey, what have you, what has sports given you that sticks with you to this day?
Determination, will, camaraderie, you know, leadership.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I've been the captain on most of my teams. You know, but you don't abuse that. You know, you listen to everybody, you know. Excuse me. Let me distinguish that. Listening and hearing is different. You hear everybody, but you be careful who you listen to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So those are some of the traits that I carry with me, being trustworthy, you know, some of those character, you know, those things that are part of our character that we carry with us, you know, friendship, you know, friendship is important. You know, you can't live in the world by yourself. You know what I mean? Like right now we building, you know, I'm spilling my guts out to a person on the strength of a friend of mine saying, yo, man, you need to listen to Gary's story, you know, and then, you know, Raheem called me up, man. I'm so happy because Raheem, you know, was like the little boy with us.
Yes.
But it's so much love that we have from each other. Cliff was, you know, a year, I think Cliff was a year ahead of me. You know, Lou Grimsey, a couple of years ahead of me, Mo Late, you know, like, so those kind of things, you know, friendship, you know, just having a belief system.
Absolutely.
You know, like those things are important.
No, absolutely. I appreciate this time. And I mean, as you just saying that, man, I just realized just how blessed I am, again, to your point here, just individuals, everybody just willing to just share a little bit of their walk here. But before we wrap up, I'd love to just put people on the spot a little bit, have some fun, if that's all right.
Right.
Cool. Some things are random, some not so random here. So when driving, you prefer the parkway or the turnpike?
Oh man, the turnpike.
Turnpike.
When I'm driving south, man, I actually like driving.
Okay.
Man, I like driving, but the turnpike, you know, going down to DC to visit my family down there when they were alive, like those trips with my dad. I mean, when my mom left Newark and moved to Richmond, Virginia, you know, because she worked for AT&T and it was time to move. I'm like, Mom, Richmond is nice. You know, so those drives down there, driving to Raleigh, driving, you know, to North Carolina. I got a friend of mine went to West Side, you know, had a stroke. But I'm going to drive down and I've been down to see him already, but this summer I plan on driving down to Florida to see him. But yeah, the turnpike.
Oh, all right. What South Orange Ave or Mon Ave?
South Orange Avenue. I mean, that's the corridor.
Yes.
You know, I don't travel through Mon too much. You know, Mon is tough.
Okay.
You know, Mon is tough. But yeah, South Orange Avenue, man. South Orange Avenue is the corridor to work and from work, you know, and then I can get through all the 16th Avenues, 18th Avenues. I try to, you know, navigate. Because I'm from Newark, I kind of know where the lights not at and try to get around that. Yeah.
No doubt. Your younger days, block party or the club?
Neither, man. The dancing thing wasn't mine. Like, you know, so the club or the block party, I mean, you know, we had the quarter parties back in the day, but that was never my thing.
Okay.
Even to this day, you know, You know, my wife, I kind of looked, she was like, look, I'm out of here. She headed over to the family. I'm like, look, I'm in the house. She's like, I know you're not coming because I like the solitude.
Just being the cut.
Yeah. Like I enjoy being in here watching some movies, the quiet time. I don't just come home and turn the TV on and music and all that. You know, your mind, man. You know, if you know, and reading, you know, and things like that, you know, that's what I like. So neither one of them. I mean, I go to a show, like I remember being in the Blue Note and bopping my head and like, you know, this is my drum beat right here.
Got you.
You know, I like the Whispers and Blue Magic and all that old stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
Welcome into my dreams, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's my stuff right there.
Yeah. But playing ball here was the best playground as far as to play ball at.
Wow. Probably the whole.
The
whole, you know, because again, I played in all, like when in terms of longevity, they had the longest run.
Okay.
The comp when everybody when they had the league up at Green Acres on Lyons Avenue, like that was comp because everybody came from all the neighboring places. Man, I can't forget Elmwood Park.
Yeah.
You know, Elmwood Park, you know, me and Clyde Bradshaw was on the team together, TK All-Stars. And, you know, you had, you know, Harry James ran that, you know. I don't know if you heard of Harry.
I know,
Harry,
I know Mr. James, God bless.
Harry, you know, I remember, may God be pleased with him. Even when I was officiating with him and stuff, he would take me up to Patterson with him, you know. But yeah, the whole Branchbrook, you know, Branchbrook, you know, was an afterthought. Like we would be playing, we would be over West 4th Street, and like, man, we got a game, you know, back over, you know, at Branchbrook, but it was an afterthought, you know, it wasn't the main place, but the whole.
It was an event down there. It was an event.
No, that was something. I remember Ahmad Rashad was out there, and he came to do the Anthony Avent story.
Oh, okay.
And I was on the court. I remember reading one time, and I forget the magazine. The whole was rated the 4th best summer league in the United States. But that was it, man. West 4th Street. I mean, I bring that up, man. I was MVP in that 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And we were playing against some you know, the top New York talent. But, you know, if I could just go back, you know, Nate Granger, Jeff Granger, John Bailey, Marv Cook, JoJo Walters. I know you already interviewed JoJo, Bruce Davis, Howard McNeil. I don't know if you ever heard of Howard.
I heard that name.
Yeah, Howard McNeil. Who I'm missing on his team? I said Donald Carroll. You know, I remember Rock came and played with us, Randy Frakes one time, man. And the boy was so hot. You know, he dropped 68 in this game. And none of us would shoot. He was just, you know, just lighting it up, you know, so it wasn't that kind of jealousy and stuff right there. But, you know, I know the question was, what was the best part? I would say the whole, but, you know, I done played everywhere. You know, I done played in the Rucker. You know, I remember Milt Williams and them taking me over to the Whitney on 138th Street. The Rucker was actually at City College. I was a little boy, so you getting a chance to watch Earl Monroe, Billy Pauls. Who else was in it? Shake and Bake. These was the guys. Larry Keenan. You know, watching them guys, and we the young guys. You know, because now Nate Granger. And did you hear about Wilbur Ross?
Wilbur, no.
Oh man, come on! You gotta talk to Wilbur Ross. I mean, him and you know. Those were the older guys. You know, that's when my first time watching Greg Tynes up in the projects, because Orange had a tough school.
Friendship Center.
No, it was outdoors though. It was a gate there. I remember, you know, I'm on a little team, but I'm waiting. But you know, it's from the Afros and all that, and Greg and all them, and they were talking about how tough Wilbur Ross was, and I'm like, man, that joker right there was Nate Granger. Nate wound up being a 4-year NAIA All-American at East Texas State, and got drafted by the Warriors. But you know, the story is all of their players had no cut contracts, so he didn't make it. You know, but yeah, just playing, you know, that I kind of digressed a little bit. When we talk about a league in West 4th Street, that was it, man. That was one of the toughest ones. Played in the Ruckers, you know, but and not the entertainment Ruckers. Back then you had ballers in there, you know. It was something different, yeah. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm asking you, West Side or St. Aug?
You don't know the answer. St. Aug.
Oh, I got you right, because I thought you was gonna say West Side.
St. Aug, man. You know, and that the whole St. Aug experience, man, was that, you know, we you know, when we got down there, I made the team, but because I transferred, I didn't have my credit, so we had a team called Bustin' Loose. And these was our friends, and they was, you know, me, Mom, Rodney Taylor, that was from North Carolina, Charles Logan, Reggie McFarland, and they were saying, and this boy Dallas, he was from Dallas. And they was like, these guys can beat the college team. And so fast forward to next year, I'm the starting point guard on the team. Reggie Mack, who's from Farragut Progress over in Fort Greene, he's on the team. Linking up with Anthony Bogan, who's from Brownsville, all CIAA, Donald Cooper from Morristown, you know, Warren Brown, Dow Smith, you know, Dow Lyman, like, you know, we were District 26 NAIA champions, you know, and we was, and I'm talking about, we ain't had no, the 6'9s was on the bench, you know, we had the 6'7s, the 6'4s, we just was up and down the court, number 6 black college in the nation back then. And everybody that beat us that year went on and win the championship. Virginia Union, the first year that Coach Robbins was in the league, the White Shadow we used to call it. You know, I missed playing against Oakley, but I played against Rick Mahorn. You know, but you know, losing against them, they went on and win the Division II championship. We lost to Cameron University, went on and win the NAI. So it was a tough team, 24-7 that year. So the relationships, the friendships, you know, so I love West Side. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, some fond memories, you know, with you know, some of my teammates, you know, that went back to grammar school, first graduating class at 13th Avenue, you know, meeting Charlie Long, you know, me and him, Art Dilworth, Sam Hayes, you know, Craig Kazada, you know, Leon Johnson, all us, Rudolph Murray, you know, Mark Cray, like, you know, those are my guys that I grew up with, and, you know, those that are still living, you know, we still friends.
Yes.
You know, but and then going on the West Side, that's kind of, you know, people going to Barrington, because depending on where you lived at, you know, and I lived South Orange Avenue, 13th Avenue. You know, if you lived on 13th Avenue, 12th Avenue, went all the way to Barrington. You know, JoJo Walters, who lived in that corridor, he lived on 7th Street. I'm on 9th Street. Joe wound up going to Vellsburg. You know, Ron Cowens, who's 6'11", lived on 11th Street, South Orange Avenue, and 13th Avenue. Wound up going to Essex Catholic, playing with Cliff Anderson. So I'm, you know, that Seymour lived on 14th Avenue and between 15th Avenue, Essex Catholic. Vinnie Harrison, you know, if all of these guys that lived just between that South Orange Avenue and 13th Avenue corridor had attended West Side, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, it would have really been something. So again, you know, I love West Side, you know, but if, you know, if I'm choosing, it's that relationship and those relationships that I built at St. Augustine's College, you know, which is now St. Augustine's University.
That makes sense. Makes sense. And this might be difficult, so then again, it might not be. Best game you ever played in your life? Is one that sticks out?
Yeah, we were in
at any level.
Yeah, at West 4th Street. You know, I think we were playing Segara team. Segara was a lawyer, and he had oh man, what's the guy that's from Manhattan? I'm bad with names, man. I'm looking right in his face right now, man. He used to call him the Destroyer.
Okay.
But I think, I think of his name because he was back there with Dr. J and them guys.
Okay.
And I think Dow Strickland was on his team. Strick is from Jersey City, played at Essex County and Rutgers. But I got MVP in that game. I think I had about 45 out there, and we won. So that was probably one of the most memorable games.
Okay.
I mean, matter of fact, let me go back to us beating Hampton Institute. All right, that was double overtime at the Norfolk School. Rick Mahorn, 48. Anthony Bogan, 43. I'm the new guy, so they focusing on Cooper, but I had 26 in that game, and we won.
And you won, yeah.
And we won. Our coach, man, he called me and Bo into his office before we went up there because we were conference champions that year. Donald Cooper was from Morristown, made our CIAA. And he said, man, you guys should have made it, but we didn't. But we went up there, made it to the championship. All three of us on our tournament team. And the thing is, like that, we were supposed to be on TV, but they were still negotiating with the conference and NBC.
Okay.
And we didn't get on TV. But that would have been an opportunity for people nationwide to see us play. Right, and the kind of ball that went on in that CIAA, because I remember seeing Jerry West there, Willis Reed. They come there to scout because people like Monroe had made it, Bobby Dandridge.
They knew what time it was, yeah.
Yeah. So they were there started summer, and the guys that actually made it, from them years, I remember playing against them and doing them guys. I got my scrapbook, so they can see it there. When I see, the scouting report, I'm like, man, I know my name was on the board. So yeah. But yeah, the best game that was a memorable game too.
Okay.
On the college level, man. Yeah.
Nah. No say. How about best team you ever been on?
Oh man, the Blazers.
Blazers, okay.
Yeah, the Blazers, man. We won the West 4th Street League 3 out of 4 years. And the Granger brothers, Donald Carroll, Bino. Bino is Donald Carroll, John Bell, Theo, Bruce Davis, Butch Davis. That was the first year. Howard McNeil, JoJo Waters. That was a real tough team. Marv Cook, Poobie Chapman. We and that was probably some of the best players out of Newark, that had actually got together on a team. I was on another team, the Blazers, with Howard McNeil, Grover Woodard. I don't know if you ever heard of Grover. Grover got drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, 6'9" guard before Magic, in Central High School. Not sure why he's not in the Newark Athletic Hall of Fame because he deserves to be in there. And I was wearing number 10. And he asked me, gee, can I wear number 10? But my respect for his game, because these are the guys that preceded us. Like, here, Grove, give me 00. That was a tough thing. Kim Fisher was on that team from East Orange. But that was Doris Green, Miss Green. Barra Baker was the coach. Barra, Shaw University graduate, West Side High School coach, graduate of Shabazz High School. But he lived up my way. He lived up in the West Ward. I remember he used to see me and my boys on the corner of Littleton Avenue, and he would be, going back and forth to Shaw University, and then again, wind up coaching us, But yeah, that was, if it was the Blazer team, whichever one it was, the West 4th Street, but we had some guys on there, that could really play, and we won. That was the thing. Like Marv tell a story, we was watching guys over in New York play one time, and Marv was like, damn, gee, they can play. And I'm like, look, they ain't gonna beat us. You know what I mean? That's the kind of confidence. Like, we represent our hood, man. Yeah.
Nah, it was definitely it. What was you had a go-to move?
Yeah. Well, I had to move, man. It was a spin, and like Lou used to do it. Lou used to spin on you, and up, all of a sudden he in his motion, the jump shot. So I stole that from Lou.
Okay.
And that was my move. And then whether I was gonna make it or not, was something else. But I know I can get a shot off.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing with Cliff and with Beef, we used to make eye contact. So they were in the low post, and I wanted to kick a pick at the elbow. So I knew I had to go right. And when I come back, all I could hear the guy that guarded me saying, because that pick was there. No, I'm telling you, man, Cliff and Beef, Beef is Clinton Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
He Shabazz got football player, bad company. But so he kind of was, the baby Cliff. But Cliff, I'm telling you, man, I would, Joe go on me too tight. I give Cliff that eye contact. He was coming from the low post. I knew to go left, and all I heard was, because now I'm up for my shot, man. But yeah, that was my go-to move, man. And I don't know if you ever heard of Kabubi, James Sedgwick.
No,
But they used to call him the lollipop man. But Kabul was loved basketball over in the week weight session. He was from Virginia. I traveled with him to the AA by about 3-4 years in a row, him and Willie, man. But I had a crossover. He was like, "Gee, you had a crossover before any of these guys had a crossover." But I wasn't gonna do a crossover to fake you out and just look at you. Like, my crossover is to get my shot off. It ain't, like Poobie Chapman. I don't know if you ever heard that name.
No, I know the name.
Chapman. Yeah, so Poob just danced with the ball. He gonna bang bang and put you, and everybody. I'm like, no, man, I'm using my little crossover to get my shot off.
Okay.
That was the difference between me and Poob, man. I even like I said, like Marv, I got me on the team. Gil started me and Poob. But it was never no jealousy because we was all friends. So we just enjoyed playing together, enjoyed winning, man, especially going over to New York, and beating those teams over there, with the Blazers. Like, it was big, man. And the thing over there, they was giving out statues. I brought home trophies big, as tall as me, Kenny Graham with that West 4th Street. It was nice, man. Those are fond memories, man, that I'll take to the grave, man. And more importantly, when we was finished playing ball, we was going to BBQs and eating and stuff. Like, we hung out. Like, guys really had love for each other, man.
Nah, definitely.
Yeah.
You mentioned the hole. I'll just use the holes as the place to go. So you go in the hole. You got one game to play from your era. Who you bringing? Who's your 5?
I'm bringing
be positionless too. You know what I mean?
All right, so I'm bringing Nate Granger. I always told Marv, Nate my first pick. I'm bringing Wilbur Cole, right? I'm bringing Gary Taylor at the guard. For me, I'm bringing Marv Cook, because we played in Jeff Granger. So the Granger brothers, Wilbur Cole, Gary Taylor, and Marv Cook.
I get you a 6-man. Who?
6-man is Poole.
Okay.
See, like I could go back because I got to think about my teammates. Like Joe lived two blocks from me. We were on the team in West 4th Street together, but we didn't play a lot together. Even when we was at the Boys Club, Joe would come through every once in a while, but Joe was, up here in Velsburg or wherever he was honing his skills at. Even when he would be out in the back of the Boys Club, like, and Joe, I think, is 74. I'm 76. And Joe was tough. Don't get me wrong. Joe was special. I remember him being out there with the weight jacket on and, going through his thing. But, my boys, like, we were all the same age. So we was just getting better with, playing against each other. So that's why I wouldn't put Joe in that category.
Okay.
When you start talking about the 6-man, like Poole was a starter, but the guys I named, Nate and Jeff Granger, Wilbur Cole, myself and Mark, we had John Bailey, played at Essex, played with me at St. Aud. That was my center. 6'4", brother. He can guard all them 6'9" guys.
Yeah.
And in fact, he told in his story, he said, man, one of the scouts told him, man, you had 3 more inches, you be in the lake. Cause he was tough. He did all the dirty work, you know. But yeah, that would be my starting 5, and then Poole at the 6. Cause a lot of times it was me, Marv, and Poole at the game. So when we played somebody, you know, that was tough, man, like Larry McGee. Larry McGee is from Lynn. You should call him Maximil. He gave us 42. But I'm like, look, I'm gonna guard this joker 6 times in a row, Marv. You gonna get him 6 times. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we winning. You getting 40, and I got my little 23. You know, Poole got his 12, Marv got his 25. Marv can shoot the ball, and we winning. So it all equaled out, you know. So a lot of times we played, and our coach was Gil Battle, man. You know, Gil was there for that.
Yeah. You done seen a whole lot of hoops. This may be a tough one here. Best player ever come out of Newark, basketball player.
Wow. That's hard.
If you want to split it, you can split it. But
that's hard. Best basketball player to come out of Newark. Wow. You
ain't even got to put the NBA as a.
Yeah, no, I'm not even thinking NBA. I mean, because like I played with Edgar Jones, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Edgar was a monster, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I seen Lou Grimsley. You know, Lou, oh man. I seen Lou against World Be Free up at Upster.
I've heard about that. I heard about that.
Come on, man. Yeah. You know, like I played against Mo Layton, but Mo was so much older than me, so I didn't see him at his prime. You know, but you know, you gotta put him in there. You know, you gotta put him in the group. Man, who am I forgetting? Edgar. Yeah.
Those 3 solids right there.
Come on, man. You know, I don't know like JoJo. Like Joe at his best 44.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's a hard question. And depending on who you ask, you know, I saw Randy, like I said, I played with Randy, man. I'm MVP 2 years in a row. And this joker came over there and dropped 68, and none of us was shooting. We were just passing to him because and I'm talking about you seen West 4th Street court, you can shoot a half court. And he just lightened him up, you know. But and Rock was a good ball player, man. He was a good, but to say he was better, listen, you never heard of a guy named Jeff Edwards?
No,
Jeff Edwards was at West Side. He got the City League record, scored 53. 2 years younger than me, right? And I remember Charlie Long, who was our starter. He was a starter at West Side for 4 years. Our last scrimmage in our senior year, he tore his ankle up at Lincoln in a scrimmage. And Mr. Hayes like, Gary, you know, what should I do? I said, you need to go get that boy Jeff off of JV. But it was 2 Jeffs. It was Jeff Harrell and it was Jeff Edwards. He went and got Jeff Harrell. And Jeff, you know, was bigger than him, but Jeff Edwards, man, Jeff was the real deal, man. You know, about 6'2", 6'3", can jump, can shoot, play D. Went out to Walla Walla, Washington, junior college out there, and was on his team with Pierce. He played for Milwaukee and Sam Donaldson. That was in the league, man. Jeff probably would have made it, man. He was just tough, man.
Yeah.
You know, but it's hard to say who was the best. It was a guy, man, who Lonnie Wright.
Wright, God bless. Yes.
Lonnie Wright. Like I'm going back in my memory with some of the old timers, you know, because I love the history of the game, you know, like in the history of Newark, like. You know, I remember being a little boy and watching, you know, like, so you know, he was, you know, 3 sports star, you know, so it was another guy, man, that played with Elvin Hayes when they beat Lou Alcindor. He was from Newark. But again, you would have to talk to somebody like Larry Layton, because like, you know, we sit back and tell them stories, and Mo Layton, you know, those guys, Harvey Dock.
Yeah, no, I spoke to Mo. Let's go to
Yeah,
Newark.
yeah, those guys, because they can tell who the guys were before me.
Okay.
You know, so
Nah,
that's
makes sense. Makes sense.
you know, depending on who you ask about who is the best player to come out of Newark, it's horrible, man.
Nah, I know.
That's a hard one.
I know.
Yeah.
Someone, just even right, just in general, someone who should have made it. How have you define made it?
Like Joe Walters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe can jump, Joe can shoot. Before him, Nate Granger.
Okay.
You know, Nate NAI All-American. You know, 4 years in a row, he doesn't get a contract with Golden State. And remember, Al Adams was a week way back.
Yes,
you know, was drafting him. You know, but it's a no-cut contract. So what happens is, you know, you still got to live, man. You know, you get distracted in the streets and stuff. You know, but yeah, Nate should have made Grover Wood. You know, Grover, listen, man, Grover was 6'9" point guard, bro, before Magic. You know, but again, you know, life and the streets and all that stuff, man, you get distracted. You know, Jeff Granger, that's Nate's younger brother, man. Jeff played overseas in Uruguay for years. Yeah. You know, so yeah, it was some guys, man, that should have made it. And that's always, you know, that's been the, you know, it says a blessing or a curse. That's been the curse of Newark. You know, Newark guys don't get that shot, but they definitely had the talent. Oh yeah. You know? Yeah, they definitely had the talent.
Best part about being you? What's the best part about being you?
Oh man, my love of being Muslim. You know, being Muslim and loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah allowed me, you know, to make my pilgrimage to his house in '98. Those relationships that I built because of that, you know, the growth as a movement, as a believer, and what I've been through in my life, and a lot of it because of my appetites, and still, you know, sane today, and you know, the blessings of being able to retire, you being married, having family, you know, knowing and believing that, you know, the prayers of my ancestors have been answered, you know, because you know, I'm here, man. So you know, just you know, alhamdulillah, praise be to God. You know, that's the best part of me for where I sit right now. That whole evolution of some things that I didn't want to reveal in terms of my experiences, you know, on the podcast, but knowing them in my heart and those things that I've overcome to be the type of man that I am. You know, my mother said to me, you know, she said, you know, I don't say a lot, you know, but I just want you to know I love the man that you become. That's worth more than $1 million. I love you know, because, you know, I own me, man. That's the most special thing, you know, for us, man. You know, you Muslim?
Yes.
Yeah, when you say alhamdulillah, subhanallah, assalamu
alaikum.
Yeah. So that's the best part of me, man. That's what gives me joy now. You know, when you talk about having time now, I want to be able, you know, to read the Quran in Arabic. You know, so that whole journey with learning that, and not so that I can be a show off, but I want to. I don't want to read the transliteration or the English. I want to be able. So that's a whole journey in and of itself, you know, and getting to that point. And praying, and Allah allows me, blesses me, and allows me enough time to experience that, you know, on some level. In fact, next year, you know, I plan on going back to the house. I've been asking them to invite me. So, you know, inshallah, next year, that's where I'll be at, you know.
Definitely. Inshallah,
Yeah.
man. You talked about a book and doing a book earlier here. Actually, if you had a book on your life, what would you call it?
Tailor-made.
I like that.
Yeah, tailor-made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Nah,
yeah. Yeah, that's what I would call it, man. I mean, the whole experience of growing up in Newark, and because of basketball, man, I didn't have those psychological fences around my mind.
mm-hmm.
Because in life, it's just exposure to things. You know, traveling, to Roxbury, Massachusetts with the Boys Club. My mom put me on a plane and meeting her in Freeport, Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle Chubby, Torian Black, who played on Hill Street Blues. You ever watched
I
Hill
know the
Street
show. I know
Blues?
the show.
The guy with the cap, that's my mother's brother, living out in Los Angeles with him, being over in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands for a whole summer. I had write-ups over there, Gary Yankee Taylor, but that's all from that Boys Club. So the whole exposure, man, of getting around and not having, the psychological fences around your mind, and basketball gave me that, man.
Yes.
It really did. Got friendships. I'm listening, to Raheem, because he calls me, man. Like I just had back surgery, 2 months ago, and he checks in with me. But hearing it, he called me the other day. He was like, "Man, I'm so glad you're getting ready to go on there," I guess you and him be talking a little more
Yes.
outside of the podcast. But yeah, man, it's just that whole reflection, man.
Nah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And at this time in your life, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior you?
Go to school, man.
Yeah.
And it actually would have started with listening to my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Sherwood. Me and Charlie Long, he pulled us. He said, "Man, you guys are getting ready to go to high school. Pay attention. You're gonna blink your eyes, and high school is gonna be over."
Mm-hmm.
Charlie wound up being the treasurer of the class and playing 4 years with me. I wound up playing hooky and gambling,
Mm-hmm.
and in the streets and no credits, and, had to play the catch-up game to, where, you go from 0 credits, 22, 35, 55, night school,
Yeah, you scrambling.
yeah, so, and listen, my story is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I made it. I'm like, my life ain't been a bad life.
Mm-hmm.
6-figure salary, own a home, my
Mm-hmm.
kids are college graduates, at least 2 of them. My daughter's a great mother.
Mm-hmm.
She works, she takes care of my grandchildren, I'm married, you know what I mean?
Yes.
My mother, and me being the oldest, grandchild on both sides, having very special relationships with both my grandmothers and both the maternal and paternal side.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't had a bad life, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like I said, coaching, athletic administrator, substitute teacher at the school you attended.
Yes.
Come on, man. And
Mm-hmm.
you're able to give back to the community. Like, come on, man. People, and there are people that love me, it's people that, are indifferent,
Right.
but I know in my heart, man, I did the best with what I had. So that's 17. If I can go back, I guess that's the better question. You can go back to when you was 14,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do? I would take the advice of my 8th grade teacher, because my life would have been different in terms of basketball,
Okay.
because if you don't have the grades, you can't go to school. And that's what I tell the kids. Like, listen, they come and stop in my office first and ask for the transcript, right? If I pull a copy of the transcript and you ain't that real job, that guy that's 6'4", 280 or 6'9", and made all city and all county, they ain't messing with you. It may not even get up to the guidance council. It'll stop right here.
Right.
So had I done that, then and played ball, because I played on all those teams, the AAU teams, so we had the Middlesex team with Milligan and Mulligan from Rutgers Prep, Chad Kent from Asbury Park, Greg Cook, who played at LSU, Duncan McGriff, Bob Freeney, they was from Perth Amboy, I think it was, or Piscataway, excuse me, like I played on all the teams, like, so the talent was there, but, you had all of them little things that you shouldn't have been involved in, so that's what I would tell myself, man. Pay attention, take Mr. Sherwood's advice, and see what life really has. Because Allah got something for everybody, right? In life, and all you gotta do is stay on the straight path, so Arthur Mustakim. It's for you, it's already written, but when you take these courses that are off the straight path, then don't mean you can't get back on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But over there you got the busted knees, you got the thorns, you got all. You're gonna have to learn that hard side too. So yeah, that's what I would tell myself, man. Just listen, take that advice. Because easy or hard, what you want? You want it easy, right? You don't want nothing hard. And experience don't always have to be the best teacher. Listening to other people that have already experienced what you experienced, that can be your teacher.
Yes.
Because they trying to guide you, and it starts with parents. It starts with grandparents. It starts with the community. We don't have that anymore, like it was when I grew up.
No, well said here. My last one, you mentioned parents, and you actually mentioned your mom talking about you just being the best you or what have you here. And what would your dad say about
you? My dad, them 15 years, because he died in 1973. And my dad taught me so much in those 15 years, like, family, taking me to his mother because he was the only child, my aunts in DC. Every week I would go and get money for me and my sister to go to school. He showed me how to dress. Took me to New York, when Orchard and Delancey was really booming. And I remember the guy coming out, after I got my blue suede high top Pro Kids, and took off his shoes, your socks were blue. But I remember the guy coming up, slumming with the ring. And I'm a little boy watching the interaction between my father, and my father was like, well, diamonds cut glass, right? He said, cut that glass and I buy the ring. Get out of here. I know where that stuff is, where the factory is. So that game's been going on forever, but he would be proud of me.
Yes.
He would be proud of his son. I had to go, being the oldest, I had to bury both of my grandmothers. So I had to take my grandma, I call Nana is my mother's mother, Alma Middleton, and Harriet Taylor was my father's mother. I had to take her back to Harper's Ferry, Virginia, and bury her up there. So, and she would tell me, you my son, after losing her only son. So my dad would be extremely proud of me. I mean, he watched me play basketball at Southwark Boys Club. He watched me at Broadway Boys Club, so yeah, he would be proud. I think everybody would be proud of him. Like honestly, despite the obstacles that have come my way, I persevered.
Absolutely.
And made and accomplished some things where people respect me, and love me, and not just my family, like some genuine friendships.
Yes.
Like I don't have no brothers. I'm the oldest, So yeah, I know that, my mom, my grandmothers, you know, my great grandmother, you know, my dad, you know, my family's proud of me, you know, and I'm proud of myself, you know, and I say that humbly,
Yes.
you know, I say that humbly, you know, because nothing happens but by the permission of Allah. You know, that's just it in a nutshell. And everybody doesn't believe that, but I'm a believer. You know, I got the bumps and the bruises and those things where I achieved, you know, and giving back, you know, and isn't that what it's all about? About helping people, man. And it's not about, you know, I mean, get yours, you know, you're supposed to get yours, but not on the backs of other people, you know, because as I said earlier, Allah got something with everybody's name for everybody, but you can't be complacent and just think they gonna come knock on like, all right, this is yours. You got to go get it.
Yes.
You know, you know, so yeah, that's it, man.
As I mentioned right from the beginning, just thank you. Just thank you again. I mean, Allah's the best of all planners, and this is just another blessing for me just to sit here and just listen to a little bit of your walk here. Like I said, I got some things to take away to even actually think about, you know, even moving forward. But just to have another individual such as yourself here, like I said, I couldn't be more blessed. And I just thank you for sharing. I mean, because I know you didn't have to, but I appreciate you just taking time out, what have you there, and you know, happy retirement on the horizon, and get back to normal, so you can do some things here. You know, yes, absolutely. Yeah, but thank you so much, guy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Ibn, thank you, man. And remember, man, each one teach one and go back and reach one, man. So if you can help somebody, man, do that. If we do that, this world wouldn't even be in the condition it is right now. You know, so no, man. Your lane is the podcast, and you know, this whole, you know, ex-ball players from Essex County, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I know I speak on behalf of the guys that you've already, you know, interviewed, man. We're thanking you as well.
Thank you, and inshallah, we'll be in touch.
Inshallah, Keith. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalam.
Smiling because again, I just continue to get blessed with the individuals, the guests that volunteering their time to jump on and just talk a little bit here. Me just sitting back, have an opportunity to listen and just to soak it up. With that said, I'm just going to step away. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.